Hey, it's Manny. I've already made a Negotiator Dilemma build video before, but it was specifically geared towards the Iron Horse raid. In this video though, I'm going to go cover the build again, but with a couple of changes in order to make it a faster way to solo run heroic open world activities. I'll cover the build and then show you how to use it in a couple different open world activities. Before we start, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and ding that notification bell so you know when there's new videos. And if you're looking for someone to game with, you can find me and other players in the Militia Discord server. The link is in the description below. Alright, for our build, it's a very similar build to what I use for all my Negotiator Dilemma stuff. So what we have here is we'll go over the weapons first. In my one slot, I have a classic M1A, basic rifle damage, crit damage, damage out of targets. I have boomerang. I don't use this weapon that much. I use it once in a while for long range shots. So if we look at our mods, I use the 12x scope. You have an extra 5 rounds and crit hit chance. And then our primary, I know this is my 2, but I'm just used to making sure my AR is in 2. I think I always go 2 because it's easy to click 2 to get to my main that I want. So we go to the FAMAS with assault rifle damage, health damage, damage target to cover, and Optimus. So it was rolled with Optimus. Strained is a much better talent, especially with being crit hit chance maxed. So it would be better, but I re-rolled this attribute. I don't remember what it was, but to damage out of cover, which is a really good roll. So if we look at the mods for this one, we're going 8x scope, and we'll show why we have 8x scope in a minute. We have the 20 round magazine, and then we have crit hit chance laser pointer and a crit hit chance muzzle. So those are our weapons. Now we're obviously going 4-piece Negotiator Dilemma. It doesn't matter which 3 other pieces. You need the backpack. I don't use a Negotiator Dilemma chest because simply it marks 5 targets instead of 3. So I don't think it's needed because I like going with the pristine example. The reason for this is you get perfect focus, which is anytime you have an 8x scope or higher, hence the scope I have on my AR, you get up to 60% damage. Now, it does take time for it to build up to that every second. You get 6% every second, so after 10 seconds, you are at 60%. But you're going to be scoped in a lot, so it's going to work out really well. Now, if we look at the attributes, we have marksman rifle damage. So there's nothing you can do about this. It's a named item, so it comes as Araldi Holdings. But I could get better rolls on this. For example, weapon damage is 13%. I have crit chance and crit hit damage. I re-rolled this. And I put a crit hit chance mod on this simply to get me over the 60% hump for our max crit hit chance of 60%. And then if we look at our holster, and as I said, you can actually have mask, gloves, knees, or holster. Whichever 3 you have that are the best. Or I should say, for example, my holster is a God rolled Seska. I recommend getting a Seska because you get 10% crit hit chance off the bat, and then you want to have another roll of crit hit chance on there as well for 6%, so you get 16% crit hit chance on this. We get 15% weapon damage and 12% crit hit damage. So this is a God roll piece. It's perfect for this, so that's why I'm using mask, gloves, and knees. So now if we look at our 4 pieces, they're all going to be actually rolled the same way. This is a God rolled one, which is nice. We got 50% weapon damage. We re-roll our secondary attribute to crit hit damage, and we put crit hit damage mods on. Same thing goes with the backpack, right? We have weapon damage. This would be nice to have 15%. We put our crit hit damage on here and put a crit hit damage mod. Now the reason we like the backpack is for critical measures. It increases hostile negotiations damage from the marked enemies from 60 to 100%, which is great. That's another 40% damage to the marked guys. And then gloves, same deal. Could be maxed out, which would be nice, but we reroll crit hit damage, and we have our knees, which are weapon damage and crit hit damage once again. So these pieces are very easy to get. We'll go over that in a little bit. Now, for skills, you can alternate a little bit. I like to go with Assault Turret and the Shield. You can go with Revive Hive if you need to. I don't feel like I die too often, so that's why I like the Assault Turret as it helps with drones. Enemies actually targeted often, especially grenaders and things like that. Helps a lot for that, to distract the enemies. You could go Decoy, but I just like this simply because it actually shoots down the drones, the exploding drones that they fire at you. Shield is great because I use this often, and I'll go over how we use the shield. We're always peeking to the right side of cover if we can, and it works out really well. Now, as far as our specialization go, for solo play, go with Gunner. You go with Gunner simply because you get 10% armor on kill. You get 10% weapon handling when you're standing still, which you're going to be standing still an awful lot. And then you get 5% increased rate of fire on kill and 50% faster reload on the third reload. Now, Gunner I don't necessarily think is the greatest one in a group because you often don't get the kill. But since we're doing solo, we're getting all the kills and therefore it is a great specialization to use for this, especially for the armor on kills. You'll be killing a lot of things and you'll be killing quickly, and you're going to be getting that 10% armor bonus. Hence why I don't worry about Revive Hive. That's the build. So this is what we're going to run with. I didn't go with pistol, doesn't matter, I don't use it. Mine has finisher, so if I did want to use it, and you know, you get crit chance and crit damage on kills. So if you want this, go for it. The orbit's good with perfect finisher, but I never use the pistol. It's just swapping to it and trying to do it, doesn't matter. The idea here is lots of crits. That's why we use the AR. We want to crit a lot so that we actually use our mark everything. Now if we look at our stats, the biggest one we want to get is a crit hit chance. You see mine's 56.3, but that's with the M1A Classic. If we switch, hit G, we actually have 60% for our AR, which is what we want. So we are maxed out. I believe it's 62 point something or other, simply because of just how the math works out. I had no way of getting exactly 60% without going over it. Not a big deal. Weapon damage almost 100k, and then the other one is crit hit damage, which is 160%, which is nice. Headshot damage 101's not bad, so try to aim high a little bit, but the big one is crit hit damage and all weapon damage. So those are my stats. That's the build. There we go, guys. Now there are a couple plays to get actually Negotiator Dilemma pieces. One is the clan vendor. They often sell it. The other one is actually over with Casey Mendoza. So in order to find Casey, you first have to find a snitch. Once you find a snitch, he marks on the map. She's available a couple times a week, and once you find her and you go to her, you can just purchase pieces from her. Now she doesn't always sell it, but often she sells a lot of gear set pieces, and oftentimes they're actually max rolled, which is really nice as well. She's not selling any pieces today, but such is life. Third way to get pieces is actually using targeted loot. We can see here Pathway Park actually has targeted loot as classified gear sets. So not guaranteed to be a Negotiator Dilemma, but you can get all the pieces from this. The fourth and final way of gathering up the Negotiator Dilemma pieces is actually crafting them. However, you do have to run the first raid, the Dark Hours raid, to actually get the blueprint. I don't believe there's any other way to get the blueprint nowadays. I don't know if they've changed it, but this was a blueprint that only dropped in the Dark Hours raid. So if you were lucky enough to run the Dark Hours raid, you should have all the blueprints. Now, mileage may vary as far as what you get when you craft them, but that's another way. This is another way to actually complete your set if you wanted to. So we went over the build, we went over where to get the pieces for the build. Now let's actually look at how to use the build. So this is attacking a CP. I'm going to deploy my shield. I'm going to actually start peeking only from the right. I'm going to start marking up targets. I'm going to try to mark up 3 targets if I can. Once they're marked, we'll just try to find one and DPS it, and you'll notice that all the health go down quickly. This is just a rinse and repeat, guys. Just keep trying to mark up 3 when you can. And I'm a good distance away, but that's why with the 8x scope. Well, I believe this is the fastest way to actually attack control points and also take out activities. There are a couple deficiencies in this build. Is the fact that single target is not the greatest, and sometimes when you're attacking things, the first set of ads, they're spread out, and that makes it tough to mark and take them all down. Where this really shines is once you know the spawn locations and you can really focus in on the spawn locations and mark them as they come out, you can actually burn most of them before they even get a chance to do anything. And I'll show you an example of that when we get to the activities. CPs are a little tougher unless you see the exact point where they're coming out of. Now that we've actually captured the control point, now we actually have to defend it. You're going to see here where this really shines. All the enemies come up from one location, and I'm at a good vantage point where I can actually target them all. I can burn them all before they even get close to me. I'll let this one play through so you can see exactly what's going on. Negotiator Dilemma is also especially useful against guys with shields, because once you mark the shield, you can shoot someone else and the damage is done directly to the person. You don't have to worry about circumventing the shield, shooting around the shield. Not that they're really that difficult, it just makes it so much easier. Next set of ads come up. I still left the shield guy over there, but he had very minimal health and he's marked. So I know as soon as I mark someone else, he's going to be dead, which he just died. I know I skipped a few parts, but it was still a super quick take over the CP. It was only a couple minutes. Now here's an example of a resource convoy. We're taking this out in about 30 seconds. Once the initial group is down, we look for where they're coming out. They're all coming out the back of the truck. So we try to mark them and tag them. Just burn them all down. Reload, and we got one more phase. As you see, I mark them as they come out, and then I just start unloading on them. Last one. That's it. Here I approach territory control. I'm gonna deploy my shield, and I'm gonna peek around this. So I like to get too high cover, so like it covers my whole body if I want to. I see where everyone is, and then I start marking them. The initial attack is kind of tough. I am playing on heroic with 3 directives on, one being specialized ammo, so it gets difficult at times for that. The first group is always the hardest one because they usually spread out. Once you take down the first group though, then you got to find out where they spawn from, and it's easy enough just to kill them all at one time. Mark them up and kill them before they get out the door. That's it. Collect a key and then go for the cash. I think this one took about a minute. Here's an example of me stopping a public execution. Once again, deploy my shield, poke out to the right side. I always want to poke from the right because of how the shield works. I kind of look where everyone is and just start marking targets up and just start executing dudes. Once the last guy goes down for that wave, check your radar and see where they're going to spawn from. And this way you can actually take them out really quickly. Now they're behind this van. The spawn location is behind the van, so it's a little tough, but I'm still able to mark up a couple of them before they get too far. Once they're marked, go on to the next target. Even if they're behind you, go to the next target. You can quickly take the guys out. And that's it. Talk to the hostage and we're done. And once again, it was about a minute for this whole thing. I love this build because it's super simple to use. There's only a few rules. One thing being is no spawn locations. Second thing is, if you can, try to maximize your coverage by only peeking to the right, have your shield out, and be scoped in. Make sure you mark 3 targets before you start killing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button below, and if you leave a comment if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. If you'd like to see more content like this, then smash that subscribe button, and you can also follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Maniarchy, where I stream Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till next time, agents, happy hunting.